Hey Sonoma County. Today we're going to talk about what living in Sebastopol looks like. We work with a lot of folks that are moving into the Sonoma County area, and it's funny because we'll ask them, what do you know about Sonoma County? What areas are you familiar with? And so often they say, Sebastopol. We want to know more about Sebastopol. It really has this amazing attraction to people outside of the county, and honestly it's very popular with folks that already live in Sonoma County. So thought today we'd talk about what is it like living in Sebastopol, but more specifically, what does the housing look like? What are the different neighborhoods like? And what can you expect price-wise when you live in there? Because when you kind of look at the median home price sitting about $1 million, it can be kind of scary, and people are like, oh, well, maybe Sebastopol's out. But we're going to talk about why that number could be a little bit skewed and show you across the board kind of different home prices and different styles of homes that could kind of fit for everyone. It's certainly not your cookie cutter town by any stretch of the imagination. But first, I'm Julie Sullivan with Sullivan Group Real Estate, and we do help people move in and out and all around Sonoma County every year. So if you're thinking of making a move anytime soon, the next 30, 60, 90 days, or even if you think you're a year or so out, let's chat. Let us help familiarize you with Sonoma County and help you get a plan in place to make your next real estate purchase and move a really smooth one. So, why don't we start with where is Sebastopol? Okay, where is it located in our county and in relation to kind of the greater Bay Area? So it's kind of in the central, in the middle part of our county, I guess you would say, but located out west. Okay, so as you come up Highway 101, so when you get off, as a good marker, because everyone knows where San Francisco is and the Golden Gate Bridge, when you get off the Golden Gate Bridge, you're on Highway 101. And you come straight up Highway 101 about 55 miles. You're now, in the middle of Sonoma County, but then you're gonna take Highway 12 or 116. There's two entrances into the Sebastopol area, and you're gonna go out about 9 miles out west. So it sits a little bit to the west. If you drove about another 15 minutes west, you'd actually be at the coast. You'd be at the Pacific Ocean. And if you went about 15 miles northwest, you'd be in the Russian River recreation area, kind of the Guerneville Russian River area. So it's a great location. Weather is beautiful out there. It can tend to not get as hot as some of our inner valley areas that we have, because it is so close to the coast. It gets the fog, kind of fingers over those hills and cools down the area after a hot summer day. So now you know where it is and kind of the weather. Let's talk about a little history of Sebastopol. So Sebastopol is one of our oldest towns here in Sonoma County. Really kind of came to be in about 1900, 1902. It was the Gravenstein apple capital of the world for quite a while. There's still quite a few apple orchards in existence when you drive around out there. When the 1906 quake hit, though, the whole town was flattened, as was most of Sonoma County, because it's a little fact that a lot of people don't know, but what we know as the San Francisco earthquake was actually, the epicenter was actually in Sonoma County. I think it was the Rogers Fault Line. So even though San Francisco had all the damage, it was pretty widespread, and Sonoma County took a big hit. But as most towns in Sonoma County, or all the towns in Sonoma County, they rebuilt, they put houses back together, and it still remained a pretty small town until after World War I. And when all the GIs were coming home from the war, they were all looking for places to live and started migrating up and out of the main big city areas. And there was a lot of home growth in the early half of the 1900s. And a lot of those homes are still there in Sebastopol, which gives Sebastopol so much of its amazing character. So So today, I'll just add, the population in Sebastopol is about 8,000 people, so it's still a pretty small community compared to like some of the other cities here in Sonoma County, and I think that is honestly one of the big draws. It is a very close-knit community. It is safe. It's super friendly and welcoming, and you live there for any extended amount of time and all your neighbors know each other. You're gonna know people, you're gonna see the same people in the grocery store each week because it's just not that big of a community. The high school out there, Amalie High School, is one of the oldest high schools in our county, and it's just really rich in history, and it has a ton of school pride out there. I mean, they love their high school and their high school sports and theater and so on, so it's very, again, well supported by the community. So, how is Sebastopol and the housing in the city kind of laid out? So, when I was looking at the different maps and the different neighborhoods and parks and so on, I kind of saw so we have the downtown area, there's Main Street, and then there's the newer kind of what we call the Barlow, or it is called the Barlow. It's actually old canning facilities from the apple canning days and so on that they have now converted into these shops and restaurants, and there's some breweries in there. It's been such an amazing addition to the downtown area. It kind of does sit in a floodplain, so of course they were never going to build houses there, and these warehouses were just sitting there, and it's awesome. I don't live in Sebastopol, but we head out there all the time. It's just a short drive, and it's such a fun area. The breweries have music when the weather's good. It's all kind of indoor, outdoor kind of places. There's amazing restaurants like Blue Ridge Kitchen that has like super good fried chicken. A lot of farm-to-table restaurants, and there's Fern Bar, super swanky bar that is kind of more about the craft cocktails, but they do have small bites there as well. Wood for Brewery has kind of primarily a pub menu. There's Golden State Cider. There's this really cool wine tasting place that has this whole wall of wines, and you like purchase a card, and you can either have like a taste, a half a glass, or a full glass, and your card is charged, or the money's taken off the card depending on the size of pour you decide. So you can just taste all sorts of local wines from around the world. They mostly focus on Sonoma County wines, but really fun place to go visit, and especially play tourist in there. Or if you are a tourist, you have to go in there. It's a great way to taste a lot of our wines without having to go to the individual wineries. And then there's just darling boutiques and shops. And same thing up on Main Street. The Main Street is, of course, the Main Street that's been there since the inception of the town, and a lot of the storefronts still have that old look, and it's just so fun. But behind that, the storefronts that look like they were just like lost in time are some really cool little shops and boutiques, and again, some more restaurants and so on. So they do have grocery stores and drugstores and all the things, Safeway, Whole Foods. They have all the things you need for your immediate day-to-day needs, and then you're just like 15 minutes back into Santa Rosa for everything else that you would want. That's where you'll get your Targets and your Costco's and your healthcare for the most part and things like that. So when you have that Main Street Barlow area, kind of how the housing has built and how the town has built itself out is right around like the radius, a circle around that Main Street area is where you have your original little cottages and houses that were built in the early 1900s. And like I said, many of them still exist. Some of them are just so lovingly maintained with different updates, but still keeping the original character, almost kind of like the famous Victorians in San Francisco. Some of them have just the most amazing exterior paint jobs on them, highlighting all of the gingerbread and beautiful woodwork on the homes and trim, and they're so fun. They are generally pretty small. They're like your smaller homes. A lot of them they can be like 2-bedroom, 1-bath. That's how homes were built back in the day. Some have had additions put on them, and they will live now as a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, but for the most part, most folks that have owned these homes have maintained that original character. And what you can expect to pay for some of these homes is like in the high, into the 700s, high 600s and into the 700s, maybe even touching into 800,000 for a home that's just like dialed in and really up to date and beautiful, move-in ready, turnkey kind of home. They're really fun. There's a really famous street in this old area called Florence Avenue, and it's the Florence Avenue trash art. It's not really trash art. Well, I mean, it is, but it's all from recycled, mostly metal pieces, and they are just the most fun, whimsical art pieces that, from what I understand, were done by one artist, and he put one out in front of his house, and then his neighbors wanted one, and then the neighbors next to them wanted one, and then the neighbors next to them wanted one. So there's this couple block span of Florence Avenue where almost every house, or quite a few homes, have some of this really fun art. And it's quite an attraction. People from out of town have to make their drive up and down Florence Avenue and check it all out, get their picture taken. But that's the kind of quirky neighborhood that older section of town is. Then as you kind of come out a little further radius out, then that's when newer homes were built. Probably kind of dotted all the way through like the 70s, 80s, and into the 90s. More kind of tract style homes, subdivision type homes, kind of more family friendly with a little bigger square footage, more like your 3-bedroom, 2.5 to 4-bedroom, 3-bath homes, you know, ranging anywhere from probably like 1,600 square feet upwards of, you know, 2,500 to 3,000. In neighborhoods where the homes kind of all look the same, you know, maybe a builder came in and built a few blocks at a time. Don't get me wrong, there are no subdivisions out in Sebastopol where, you know, 500 homes were built at a time. I'm talking a builder came in and built, I mean, a big one would be like 3 or 4 blocks at the same time, put up a few different, you know, 3 or 4 different models with different sizes. You know, so there is a kind of that, they all look alike, but it's not a huge area. And then maybe a few blocks over, 10 years later, someone else came in and built another little 2, 3, 4 block neighborhood, so to speak. But they do have a little different look, of course, than the ones that were built in the early 1900s. Now, so these homes, depending on size, and again, updates, because when we're talking a home built in like the 70s, 80s, or 90s, you're still talking about a 30 to 50-year-old home. You know, even from 2000, we're in 2023 now, so that's a 23-year-old home. But so depending on condition, is it all original? Has it been lovingly maintained and updated throughout the years? You can expect to pay anywhere from the 800,000s up to probably touching about that $1 million mark in those neighborhoods. But like I said, you do get a very family-friendly home on a good-sized lot with a great backyard, and still with really close proximity into town. Dotted kind of throughout the Sebastopol area, and let me note, when we're talking about Sebastopol, if you look on a map and see like Sebastopol city limits, it's super small. But when you come out into the greater, like even out into the country, it might not technically be Sebastopol city limits. They still use a Sebastopol address, even though it could be a county property. And we include all of that when we're talking about the city of Sebastopol. And so dotted throughout town again, because like, kind of like there wasn't a big master plan, like a master built community like we see in, you know, Sacramento area or Los Angeles or some of these bigger metropolis areas. But so same as these homes were built over time, a few blocks at a time, there are townhouse and condo options out in Sebastopol as well. But again, not these huge complexes. I can think of one good sized complex out there, but then you'll have maybe 10 units or 15 units or even smaller than that, or some duet type options. So that's where, housing can be a little less expensive, and you can get those townhouses from like anywhere, again, depending on condition and maintenance, from the mid 5s up into like the mid 6s, $600,000 range. So now, as you get out though, and you get outside of town, this is where it gets really fun. Sebastopol has a huge number of country properties, all different varying sizes of homes, amount of acreage included on those properties, ages that they were built. Are they agricultural properties? Are they vineyard properties? Are they livestock, cattle, sheep, chickens, goats? What is the primary use of the property? All is going to depend on price. I mean, there's a property on the market right now that is like almost 80 acres. It's planted in vineyards with like this 4,000 square foot home with probably some of the best views in the county out from this property, and it's on the market for $10 million. Okay, and as you head out more towards the coast, out Bodega Avenue, and you're heading out towards the coast, that's where you're going to get some of these higher end luxury country properties. Again, the views are amazing. As you get up in the hills, you'll start seeing a lot of rolling vineyards as you're heading out towards the coast. I believe it's the Pinot Noir grapes that grow really well in the cooler coastal climate, so there's a lot of that out there. But then kind of on the other side of town, as you're coming off of Highway 101 and driving down either 116 or 12, there's other really great country communities out there with like more modest, like 1 and 2, 3, 4 acre parcels with a country home on them. And again, that home could be built anywhere from the 50s and 60s, 70s to newer ones, or homes that were old and have been taken down, and now new, beautiful, bigger homes have been replaced, and the price is going to vary depending on that. We were just, I just showed some clients a couple weeks ago a house out on that flatland area coming in from town. It sat on almost an acre. It was a great 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath home, very nicely maintained, and it was priced just a little over $1 million. So I know, which depending on where you're coming from could seem crazy, but you are out in the country. You have that privacy, you have that space around you. You can see neighbors, but they're not that close because they all have probably at least an acre out there, and some parcels bigger and smaller depending on how the properties were divided up over the years. So there's some famous wineries out in those hills in the Sebastopol area. You've got like Gary Farrell, Costa Brown, Miramar, and honestly, you guys, they're going to keep property prices up when you have these incredible places right there at your fingertips. They love that Sebastopol area and of course the growing climate for their types of wines that they make. Sebastopol is just a sought after community. And again, it's just the little idyllic town. Like, it's like Pleasantville. So it is super popular. There's a high demand, so that's going to keep prices where they are. But if you can live out there, nobody ever regrets moving out into that Sebastopol area. I hope that helped give you a little better idea of what things look like housing wise and price wise, and how the town is kind of set up. I didn't talk about the parks. Sebastopol is full of parks as well. There are so many different types of parks, from your regular kind of city parks. There's Regal Ranch Regional Park. That's where they do their Gravenstein Apple Festival every year. They have Ivy Park, which actually has a huge community pool there. In fact, the high school swim team uses that pool. It's like an Olympic-sized pool. That it's like the oldest pool in the county, and it's mostly maintained by community donations every year. So again, this tight-knit community, they support their community so much, and they want to keep these things going in their town. There's also the Laguna Wetlands. It's mostly a bird watching sanctuary, but it again is donation funded. I mean, the funding from the city, county, state it's very small, so they depend a lot on community donations. They have docents out there. They have volunteer groups that have, over the years, they help maintain the wetlands and plant trees and really help to preserve all the wildlife out there. And they do walking tours. There's tons of walking and biking trails out at the wetlands. It's absolutely beautiful. If you do plan a trip into the Sebastopol area, definitely go check out the wetlands as well. And then there's lots of other city parks. They're very much an outdoor community. So I hope that gave you a better idea, again, of what it looks like living in Sebastopol, different types of housing, the prices you're gonna see, and kind of what else is in Sebastopol, and what is the attraction there. If you found this video helpful, click like, subscribe to our channel, ding the bell, and you'll be notified every week we release new videos about everything Sonoma County and Sonoma County real estate. And again, we're here to be your resource and your guide to everything Sonoma County. My contact info is right here. Reach out. I'll answer the phone every time you call, and I'm happy to chat and answer any questions you might have. Thanks for watching.